What's up, folks? Welcome back to the stream. It's Monday, and we're about to indulge in a little bit of mayhem. We got the metal playlist going in the background today because we're going to be talking about Chaos. It was the weekend of the street release dates for World Eaters and Death Guard. They have started to see some play in small table games, so RTT level, league, like local league level. We did see, obviously, one GT level event that allowed their play that was immediately won by Death Guard, so that's pretty good. A Poxwalker Horde took down a GT. Watch my video that released, unfortunately, like 90 minutes ago or something. My cold is stuck around a little bit, so I was super out of it when I was editing that video, and I think I just posted, I scheduled it to release on Tuesday morning instead of Monday morning, and then when I woke up, I was like, fuck. It's still members only. But I appreciate the people who jumped in the membership too. Watch it early. Usually, I'll finish it a couple hours before I typically will release it. And so I'll put it up for members to watch immediately. And then the normal release date, which is either 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. U.S. Eastern time, is when that usually goes live. But I just messed up. I accidentally hit the date wrong. But I'm gonna be a little sniffly today, so I apologize for that. But longest cold ever. It feels like it, dude. I'm on the tail end of it. It's definitely not as bad as it was last week, but yeah, I thought it would be gone by like Friday for sure. And it's just sticking around, man. But yeah, let's move over and talk about some lists. So what I've done is I've gone through and collated some events. I also didn't turn my lights on, so I kind of look like a thumb right now. That's okay. You know what? We all have to go through our thumb period occasionally. I have this really harsh. I have one window open, so I'm really harsh side lighting from this one window. That's, you know what? We're gonna roll with it. What a mess. So. Boom. We went through all of the lists, and I broke down lists that did well using World Eaters and or Death Guard, and what the factions they did. Now, I will say that this is going to be a lot more Death Guard than it's going to be World Eaters. I think that most of the World Eaters community grabbed onto their index with both claw-like chain fists and we're like, please no, don't take my Berserker Warband and my 22-inch threat range Angron away from me, please. And so it seems like most of the events, Berserker Warband actually had a great showing because a lot of people ran out to play it one last time. The index version, obviously, it still exists in the codex, but so there are a lot of 3-0 Death Guard lists. Almost none of them are using the new codex. So that's unfortunate. We did have some good results from Daemonkin, including an undefeated result from Daemonkin, though. So we're going to talk about that. I think that Daemonkin... I know that there's a little bit of discourse about Goretrek Onslaught, but I think that Daemonkin is probably the best attachment in the codex. I guess it's a little damning to say that the best thing in your codex is a thing from a different codex, but... It's Scarbrand, by the way. And also their bloodletters are nuts. But you know, it is what it is. I still think there's a lot of play in the World Eaters Codex. I played them over the weekend, and I'm probably going to try to get games in with them. I'm going to try to do it maybe every day this week if I can, when I'm not playing tournament games and stuff. So I might be playing them in a team tournament coming up. So I think there's play in the Codex, and I think it's really cool. It's definitely not as first order powerful as Death Guard, though. So you know, it is what it is. 1 inch away bloodletter's crazy good. Yeah, it's wild, dude. Also, basically army-wide lance, instantly, is pretty crazy. The unlock requirements for lance on the demon units is so easy. I almost wonder if that should have been the more expensive one, and Blessings of Khorne should have been the easier one. I don't know. But Lance immediately feels extremely strong. So, like, Bloodletters, when you just give them +1 to wound without any hoops to jump through and make them 20 points cheaper, and give them automatic charges out of strategic reserve, essentially, it turns out that unit's really, really good. Oh, man. Anyway, let's dive in. Let's talk about Daemonkin first. We're on a Daemonkin sort of centric path here, so let's do it. So let's go. We'll go up the line. I only have a few Daemonkin lists to discuss, because not too many of them got played, but here we are. So this was a 2-1 at the North Coast Games May RTT Mike Hall. So it did drop a game. I don't know what they dropped to. I guess we could look it up. Will I find this on Best Coast Pairings if I Google it? Yeah, nailed it. Let's go. Oh, no, I didn't. I found the next one. Sick. If anybody wants to go to the one on May 25th, I have a link for you. That's okay. We can figure it out later. Was playing Scarbrand plus a Bloodthirster, Bloodforged armor. So that gives the Bloodthirster a 2+ base armor save. It does give you a blood size point when he dies, which is nice. But the 2+ base armor save does make that guy legitimately like sticky to kill. He's T11, 2+, 4+. That is an awkward value to kill, right? Like we're looking at around like Land Raider territory at that point. He's 1 less toughness, but he's 2 more wounds. So you know it's relatively consistent. He doesn't have the defensive strats, obviously, but it's not too bad, right? And then he's gonna hit like an absolute Mack truck. That dude with Lance will kill basically whatever, so you'll get there. Especially if you can unlock Blessings of Khorne for the big guys and give them sustained hits, that gets crazy too. So it's all good. Plus he's giving the Bloodletters +1 to hit, so he's pretty neat as well. Strat for D3 blood size points, use them right away. Yeah, if you kill a character, right, it's a little tough to pull off because you have to have the CP ready when you kill a character. But definitely, if you can do it, it's pretty sick. I will say that I think besides like the Lance for World Eaters units, there weren't too many stratagems besides the Bloodletter drop off, obviously, that I was like using out of the detachment super consistently. So, and you have potentially a Demon Prince as well for free strats. So I didn't feel like I was ever like super tight on command points, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. We also have a Lord on Juggernaut with Disciple of Khorne and Scarbrand. Now, Disciple of Khorne, we talked about it, I think, at length when we did the original Codex review, but this enhancement's really weird. It gives the Lord on Juggernaut the capacity. He becomes a Khorne demon. If I pull up my data sheets here, my system's running really slow. There it goes. So it gives the Juggernaut Lord Blood Legion keyword. He loses World Eater's keyword, but here's the interesting thing, and this may get nerfed at any time, so prepare for this to be nerfed, because it might not be intended, but I'm not sure. The interesting thing is that he doesn't lose the Blessings of Khorne ability, and Blessings of Khorne, it doesn't check whether or not you are a World Eater's unit. It checks whether or not your army is World Eaters, which it is. It just has the additional ability to take Blood Legion units. So your army faction is World Eaters, and you have the Blessings of Khorne ability. So it is units with Blessings of Khorne. Units with the Blessings of Khorne ability get applied the bonus. So the hidden subtext of this enhancement is that this guy becomes a demon, can attach to demons, but gives them Blessings of Khorne. Here's the other weird thing, though. Because he becomes a Blood Legion unit, I believe, and maybe somebody can correct me on this if there is a list building flowchart that I'm missing. He also counts against your restriction for the number of Blood Legion units you can take. So he counts it. So he adds another 105 points to this this total. I guess so. Maybe it does say the Blood Legion units on 93 to 95, but I assume that it checks the keyword, right? But I actually don't know if that's the case. Looking at this, is this list illegal, chat? Wait, hold on. So, no Blood Legion model from your army can be your warlord. But we have selected the Juggernaut Lord to be the warlord, who is a Blood Legion model, thanks to Disciple of Khorne. Which I think might be illegal. When do you check? When do you decide warlord? I assume that's after the list is constructed, right? Is that in the flowchart? It would be in the Core Rules Muster Armies flowchart. So it would be... I can't find it. No. What have I done? Select Warlord is the last step. Yeah, so select units. You have to have at least one character eligible to be Warlord in your army. Each time you include a unit, you can take upgrades or enhancements. And then step 6 is select Warlord. Yeah, so I think this list is actually illegal. Because it doesn't have an eligible Warlord. Incredible. Oh, man. All right. Good stuff. Let's go. I don't give a shit if the app lets you chat. The app is so full of errors. It's insane. The app used to give you strength 36 shuriken catapults or shuriken cannons. It's my favorite. Yeah. Well. So interesting. So I think I'm surprised we didn't take a Demon Prince. First of all, I wonder how many points of Blood Legion stuff we have. We have 630. By the way, I don't think there's any shade here. Because this interaction is fucking wild. It's replacing faction keywords has like so many additional, especially in this case where the faction keyword adds a bunch of extra rules like text to you. It has so much rules subtext with it that like it's totally reasonable for this to get messed up, especially literally the first day the codex is out. So like no shade, obviously. I wonder if we could find a way to fix this list. I bet we could. I think you probably first thing is you maybe replace one of the monsters, probably the Bloodthirster, with a Demon Prince, or you replace something else with a Demon Prince. And then he's the Warlord. You can give him the sword too, the Possessed Sword, which is +1 strength, AP, and damage, or strength, attack, and damage. The Blade of Endless Bloodshed, which is actually 6, so you get a strength 9, 4 damage. Demon Prince, that's actually cool. I kind of like this maybe on a Slaughterbound as well. I think I might like Slaughterbound in this detachment as like little nuclear missiles that they just go off and they kill something, gain a Blood Tithe point, and if you give them Bloodforge armor, they get killed, you get another Blood Tithe point. Let's go. 2 Blood Tithe points for like 100 points. We'll see. Swap a demon for Angron. Angron's like 80 points more though, right? He's like really expensive for no reason. So we brought Blood Crushers to attach that Juggernaut Lord into. 2 units of 3 8-bound, a unit of Exalted 8-bound, double Forge Fiends, Goremonger's Jackals for utility. So we are at 220, 310. So if this Juggernaut Lord counts up against the Blood Legion total, restriction total, which I'm not actually sure he does, because it does specify Blood Legion units on pages 93 to 95, which I guess the Lord on Juggernaut is not included in. But also that would mean he can't be included in your army. All right, I have no idea. This attachment might mean an FAQ. If you can only include the Blood Legion units on those specific data sheets in your army, then this guy, I guess he would be added to your army and then added the enhancement, so it doesn't really matter that he isn't a World Eater. But I don't know. I guess it's fine. He probably doesn't count against your total. Who knows? Who fucking knows, man? Oh, man. New recruit has Angron at 410, Scarbrand at 385. So, the Munitorum field manual for World Eaters has been... let me pull it up real quick, the one that we have so far. It has been... sort of, I don't want to say leaked, but like posted by reviewers. I lost my thing. I had it a second ago. Like a bunch of different YouTube channels that had early access, as well as like blogs that had early access, posted posted different points. And that's what this is based on. These are the basic World Eaters ones. There's a Blood Legion one wandering around somewhere. Because I know a bunch of YouTube channels had sort of confirmed that he was at 305. I guess as confirmed as they can be. Obviously, the Munitorium's not officially out yet, which means that like all this stuff is like of questionable legality. So I have no idea. Getting new points this week, yeah. So I believe that, and I actually don't even know if I saved the points sheet from the codex itself. I didn't, because it doesn't matter. I believe that the 385 point cost is from the sheet, and the 305 point cost is going to be the updated points cost once these guys get added to Munitorium, which is why he's at 305. But a bunch of reviewers who had early access to the Munitorium points played him at 305, which is why he's getting played that way. So that is the thing. Pages on which units appear are now a canonical part of the rules. So I think that a lot of the list builders have these units at the codex points values, which is super wrong. There's a bunch of stuff that I know has been, especially the World Eaters, on the World Eater side, stuff that has been like basically confirmed to be changed. And a bunch of the characters have gone down. The other thing was like, I think the blood letters inside Blood Legion are 90, but the Codex has them at 120, which is a lot. But it undercosts Fleshhounds. I think Fleshhounds, they costed 60, which is actually a steal, but they should be 75. So you win some, you lose some. But yeah, we should be getting a new points document. I was hoping today, honestly. I guess they could have stealth released it. No, I wouldn't have known. But it might be it might be tomorrow, Thursday, because they usually wait for like those midweek days to release big points changes. Yeah, no updates. Obviously that could all be wrong, but that is I believe the I guess like socially confirmed points value. So the easy fix here, I think, to this list would be if we cut one of these 8-bound bricks. We could maybe get another character in there. The easiest one is you cut like the Goremongers or something, and you get like a Master of Executions, just a little guy to be your warlord. But what's interesting is this Blood Crusher Juggernaut sort of combo. The Lord on Juggernaut lets the Blood Crushers go through walls. That's huge, because as long as he's leading a unit, the unit can go through the walls, which is neat because they're mounted, and normally that's a problem for them. The awkward part about the unit is that even with Blessings of Khorne, their offensive stat line is so mid that it's really hard to get value for them. They have to do mortal wounds with their impact hit in order to get value, and it's very spiky. It's a random number of mortal wounds on a 4-up per model. So it's like anywhere between 20 and nothing. And you have no idea what you're going to roll. So it's kind of inconsistent. The interesting combo, and this is, I think, in my opinion, it's like a little bit of a pipe dream. The interesting combo is that you can impact a unit and blow it up, and then I believe you can just drop blood letters out of reserve. So the stratagem that we keep talking about, which is super sick, is Summoned by Slaughter. The stratagem is actually kind of nuts. So it lets you, anytime you destroy a unit, you can place a blood letter unit from reserve anywhere wholly within 9 inches of the last model in the destroyed unit. So you can... It also says, then remove the destroyed model from play. Actually, I wonder if you use this stratagem on a destroyed unit on your turn, can you fizzle respawn effects? I'm almost certain that's not the required. That's not the I guess it doesn't work because they just come back anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's weird that it's removed from play. Is that what destroyed says too? Interesting. That's like a very harsh wording. So you could, if you do it in your charge phase, you can potentially impact attack a unit and kill it, and then set up a bloodletter unit off of the unit you killed with an impact attack. It's kind of a pipe dream because it requires you to. The average number of mortal wounds from the unit of 7 blood crushers is 7. They average 1 per model, and that's pretty reliable. So if you're hitting anything above, like, if you're hitting anything, it's like 8 wounds or more, it's a coin flip whether or not you actually kill it. So it's a very unreliable strategy. Most often, I think you're going to be using this stratagem when you kill stuff with your Forge Fiends, so it's probably not going to make that much of a difference. But you can also use it when your stuff is destroyed itself, because you can then place like bloodletters to take their place or to block enemy movements or stuff like that. So there's like a lot of insane things you can do with the stratagem. The restriction is that it is once per battle round, which is a little hard to track, but that is important. It's much, much more restrictive than a normal stratagem timing. So you have to keep that in mind. Juggernaut Lord could be Warlord since he isn't a Blood Legion unit until he joins the Crushers. Oh, is that true? Oh, you're right, chat. No. You're totally right. Yeah, no, I didn't realize that it had a attachment clause. No, you're totally right, chat. No, he's fine. Yeah. So he's a World Eaters unit during muster armies, then gains Blood Legion during battle formations. It even says during the battle formation step. Jesus Christ. I'm off my game today, chat. It's one of those days. Yeah, so Warlord selection does not happen after battle formation. It happens at the end of muster armies. So I was under the impression that the entirety of the enhancement resolved during muster army step, but that's not correct. No, you're totally good. So he also doesn't count for the 1,000 points. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, Robert Boyd, thank you for the call out there. That is how that works. They thought about it. Yay! It works. Everything's okay. We don't need an FAQ. Nailed it. Yeah, I missed it was while leading one of the units. That's good. All right, sick. I guess the only thing that losing the World Eaters faction keyword does is it stops him from basically like acting as a trigger for or a recipient for one of these stratagems. If you could use these stratagems on him, I think he would actually be kind of nuts. In my opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of the unit as it stands. I think that they're a little squishy, and as I was talking about, I think their damage output's kind of inconsistent. The one interesting thing is that you can, you can do the bloodletter drop-off thing, which I believe works, unless there's a restriction against charging when you set up in the charge phase. But I think this is the only thing that allows you to deploy out of reserve in a charge phase. It's actually, the rules are very unclear. It says that they can charge normally, but that also that they can't move further. But I think that might be specific to the reinforcement step. I'm not sure. That's confusing. I'm not going to think about it too hard, but it is still. What did I just do? Okay. But it is still a really powerful stratagem, regardless. Yeah, triggering the so you can't lance and twin link them. Yeah, for sure. Which is why it's relevant, right? And then he also can't project the buffs onto other stuff, right? Or he can't have the buffs projected onto him, I should say. If you could give him a 4+ invulnerable save, the unit might actually be tanky. It should be. Bloodletter drop not letting you move further is probably because of the World Eater's Flying Prince. Well, that's a restriction in the movement phase in the reinforcements rule. But I don't know how that's meant to work with the with out of reinforcements deployment. I guess interestingly that that does potentially mean that like if you trigger it in the fight phase, right? They kill a unit and you summon bloodletters and then they consolidate into the bloodletters. You couldn't pile in or consolidate. But I'm not sure how that's how that works. I think so. Here's the rule that I'm looking at. Since reserve units are kind of having a made a normal move the turn they are set up in the battlefield, and cannot move further this phase. But I think this phase refers to the phase in which this rule is found, which is movement phase. So I think that is the intended interpretation. If it said that phase, then it would definitely be more ambiguous. But I think that this only applies to the movement phase. So if you did destroy something in movement and then trigger to set up bloodletters, they would stand still. Not that it matters a huge deal because you would just be setting them up right next to your opponent. But I think that if they set up in, or if they appear in other phases, you can move them. It might need clarification, but I'm not 100% sure. Can you attach the Lord to Fleshhounds? You can, yeah. Awkwardly, though, he makes the Fleshhounds worse if you attach him because he reduces their movement characteristic. Because his leadership characteristic, his leadership ability, makes the unit move 10, which doesn't matter for Blood Crushers because they already are move 10, but Fleshhounds would gain that and they would reduce their movement by 2. I believe. I don't think that it's optional. I think it just happens. Yeah. Models in that unit have a movement characteristics of 10. So he does make them worse if he does that. But you could up down him and do strategic reserve stuff. I don't know if that's as exciting. I think the idea is that you can put him on Blood Crushers and do Blood Crusher things. So I'm interested to see whether or not the Blood Crushers end up sticking around in builds using this detachment, because I don't know. They seem kind of mid to me in my opinion, but maybe that's just me. They might be the best recipient for the 4+ invulnerable save boon though, so I don't know, maybe that's fine. Maybe the idea is that you can hold them until you get 4 Blood Tithe and then push them in. But getting 7 to get Lance and boon is very difficult. I've found in a reasonable time frame because it's random whether or not you gain them. If you gained them automatically upon destroying units, it would be much easier, but you don't. So sometimes you just get sort of cucked on your Blood Tithe and you only get stuck on Demonic Rage. Even with the 3-inch fight wanes, yeah. Dev wounds. The Chaos Demon was the leader is a big difference. Yeah, I think they'll probably kill like one thing, right? But the problem is that it's like almost 300 points to kill that one thing, which is a lot. I think the reason that you take them is like more interesting synergy with players. As long as they don't change Juggernaut Lord to not give the unit blessings, yeah. I think if they might be dead on the water if they don't give blessings, because they do have 6 attacks in model, so sustained hits is a big deal for them. If you can unlock that. And lethal hits, because their strength characteristic is relatively low. Or devastating into infantry, that's also good, because their AP is not that great. So, or like honestly, most of the blessings of Khorne are great on them. So yeah, anyway, this is a long discussion about the exact rules of Khorne Daemonkin. Good call out on the Disciple of Khorne. That actually makes that does make the enhancement way more playable. More easily playable, I guess. So it's good that they included all that in the rule. But let's talk about a better performing demon. Yeah. So this one, Danny Daigle from Qualification High Roller FDB 10-man. This was 2-0-1, so he had a draw on his record as well. He was playing a Demon Prince of Khorne, Khorne the Betrayer, Lord on Juggernaut with Disciple, Scarbrand, and a Slaughterbound with a Blade of Endless Bloodshed. So I think I really like the Slaughterbound with the Blade because he gets so many attacks, right? When he Super Saiyans out, he gets 9 attacks, 10 if you have the attached, if the enhanced weapon. And then he also gets +1 damage. So he's going to 10 attacks at 3 damage devastating, which is pretty legit. And it's a good like sort of one-shot kill on little stuff, right? So it's depending on what blessings you have active, it's a little inconsistent whether a standard Slaughterbound will kill like 5 Space Marines, right, in one go. This dude will super duper kill them. He even might just chunk out a tank or something. He has so many attacks. So I think that guy's actually really sweet. He generates you Blood Tithe points. I think I like a version with the Bloodforged armor just to get the Blood Tithe point early and to try to generate Blood Tithe points by like bullying your opponent. So he's like a little utility guy, not the easiest thing to kill, but then even if you lose him, you're a third of the way towards getting Lance on your guys. I think that's interesting. Not sure if it's totally worth playing, but it's a pretty sweet too. Endless Blade, Slaughterbound, Lance Twinling's insane on him. Yeah, that makes total sense for sure. Yeah, Twinlings with the Devastating Wounds is actually sweet. Weird that the previous one only had 1 Forge Fiend. I had 2. It was 2 Forge Fiends on the first list. I do think that 3 Forge Fiends is like the truth and the way, but two's fine. And it honestly, like we're only first weekend, so we are probably like bumping up into people's collections, right? Because people have only had these rules for like a week or so from leaks, and so they may literally just physically not have the models. Once we see another week or 2 down the road, and I think people will start to have appropriate lists for all this stuff. But Master of Executions with the Blade is also cute. He pays for his own worthy skull. And free precision rerolls dabs makes him great. Oh yeah, that is good. Yeah, because he'll generate CP when he destroys units, right? And then he's also gaining full rerolls against characters and then precision. So you're swinging 6 attacks at 8, 2, 3 devastating. Full rerolls and then automatically triggers the skull. Plus he automatically gains a Blood Tithe when you kill a character. That's really cool. I like that too. I ran one on a Demon Prince of Khorne, but I wasn't super happy with it, and it feels like, despite the fact that it's like the highest impact attack you can put it on, the Demon Prince feels like the least like effective place for it to go, right? Because he acts as this insane late game piece where he comes in towards the end of the game and just like blows the tank up or something. But like, do you really need that, or would you rather have a dude who's going to be generating you value with that enhancement early on? I'm not sure. I don't know what the best place to put it is, but I think it's pretty neat. Gotta buy all the Emperor's Children Forge Fiends. Yeah. I wonder if there are Emperor's Children Forge Fiends on eBay. I think there's a Studio Forge Fiend that is an Emperor's Children one too, right? I remember that there's a pink Studio Forge Fiend. If I look up Emperor's Children Forge Fiend, I get served Fiends of Slaanesh. Oh well. It is a pro-painted Lord Exultant for $140, Chad. Oh my god. This is just like contrasted. Really? I mean, it doesn't look bad. $140, my guy? That's so much. It's just a little airbrushing and some washes. Wild. People got too much money. We have Forge Fiends at home, which is the coolest Forge Fiend model. I like the Jaws, and I'm into Jaws and Autocannon guy. I think that guy is cool, but the Ectoplasm is like definitely better. But the Autocannons are cooler, so I don't know. Yeah, I wonder too if there's like a FOMO component to that too. If it's a thing where like that model's probably limited stock right now, the Lord Exultant. And it's really good in Emperor's Children. Like, every Emperor's Children player needs 3. So, I don't know. It could be a thing. 2+ save Bloodthirster was reasonably happy. Yeah, that guy's also probably pretty consistent at gaining the Blood Tithe points for killing people, right? Because he's definitely going to be doing some murders once he gets in. I think that the one downside I see to the Bloodthirster is that he feels like he almost needs a rapid ingress. So he's kind of like eating a CP from the get-go. Because he's so unmaneuverable. There's no mobility amps in this faction almost at all. There are a couple in Berserk Warband, but obviously not for Blood Legion stuff. So, unlike in Shadow Legion or in Demonic Incursion, where you can advance that guy around the table, you can protect him from shooting and then advance him to close the distance. The World Eaters just have to move 12. And moving 12 with a huge oval base that can't go through walls is like really awkward. So he feels like he eats the rapid ingress from you. Scarbrand is actually a little bit faster on average and is an easier to maneuver base. So I think Scarbrand can actually just stand on the table and then act as like your late game anchor. Whereas the Bloodthirster feels like he kind of needs the rapid ingress CP. Or you get a printer? I mean, preaching to the choir, my dude. For sure. All right. Let's move on. Let's talk about other stuff. So triple blood letters. That's where I'm at with this detachment, by the way. I kind of feel like you should be dropping blood letters like as often as you can, basically. Every opportunity you have to use that stratagem is a good one. There's very little instances in which you use this stratagem and get the summoned by bloodshed, and you get no value out of it. Oops. So having more blood letters is more better. Plus, they can, in the worst case scenario, they can just set up and make an 8-inch charge out of Deep Strike because they have a +1 to charge from their instrument. So they're not a bad unit for 90. And if they have Lance, then suddenly they're in the realm of very efficiently killing like Marine equivalents. Whereas on the previous in Legiones Demonica, they're 20 attacks on 3s, so they probably average like 13 hits. And then wounding on 3s, so they're giving your opponent like 8 to 10 saves. There's a very reasonable chance that if they AOC or they spike their saves out a little bit, they actually don't kill 5 Space Marines. Lance turns that into... it edges over that math to make it very unlikely that unit survives. So... I found that blood letters without any buffs are actually really bad at trading for themselves, but that's not the case in this detachment because once you get 3 blood tithe points, they just go ham. So like the unit's just like generically good against everything, which is awesome. We also have the Blood Crushers. This is only 3 Blood Crushers though, which feels a lot more reasonable as a little bit of a counterpunch unit. It's only 225 points or whatever, 215 points, which is a lot more reasonable than the big brick of 300, and can still inflict the mortal wounds. It's like a mortal wound outlet. You're averaging 4 mortal wounds on the charge with that unit, which is pretty respectable. Plus, you're good at sweeping infantry too. It's just a lot of attacks, right? It's 18 attacks from the Blood Crushers and another 11 or 10 from the Lord, so it's like almost 30 attacks out of that unit, which is pretty respectable too. Plus, you can heal D6 models, yeah. Yeah, if there's any surviving, yeah, that's the tough part. If you have the 4, oh, excuse me, chat, Jesus. If you have the 4+ invulnerable save, I'm sorry. I apologize about the acoustic quality of this live stream. I think it's a good sign that all the gunk is moving out of my system, but unfortunately it is going right through my throat right now. So I do have a very stuffy throat. If you get the 4+ invulnerable save active on your units, you can. It's just, I guess it's appropriate for when we get to the Death Guard section, right? It doesn't make as much sense when we talk about Khorne, but at least we are talking about the Plague Boys, and we're going to be talking about them for quite a while. Once you get the 4+ invulnerable save on the blood letters, you're going to be able to survive more consistently, and so you can do the D6 regeneration as well, which does feel pretty weak. Yeah, and the Scarbrand and the Bloodthirster also kick it up, yeah. And if you have both of them, obviously, like, you have more instances of that aura being in an interesting position. Now, here's an interesting thing, is that we're running a solo Khorne, and I was actually thinking about this as well. Khorne he loses his leadership ability when he is by himself, so he doesn't get his reroll, hit roll, and wound rolls of blood, which is sad. He also, however, doesn't have the opportunity to kill his own bodyguard models, so it's not the end of the world, I guess, that he's not attached, right? However, he respawns on a 2+ after he dies. So, here's the interesting thing, is you can run him solo and use him as a utility unit, and he gives you potentially 2 opportunities to spawn bloodletters off of him. Because he can stand on an objective, your opponent can kill him, he can dump bloodletters, and then like sort of rapid ingress with them, then respawn, and then kill him again, and he can spawn another unit of bloodletters off of him. So I actually think that, despite the fact that he has no like implicit, I guess you could Lance and Twin Linked him, which is actually kind of sweet. He's AP 2/3 damage, so that puts him at a reasonable, chance of killing like low armor save vehicles. So he's like he can be a little nuclear missile. He's kind of annoying to deal with. He's relatively fast. Like move 8 on an infantry unit is fine for utility, so he can go do actions and stuff. And then he can also act as a delivery system for bloodletters by himself, which I think is neat. So I actually really like solo Khorne. Khorne feels like good enough to, I think, just like take in almost any detachment in this faction. He's 85 points. He hits like a truck and then also respawns. So like he's not even hard. He's like not even easy to deal with, which I think is actually sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I think it's good, chat. Yeah, so I had a trouble like fitting him into my final list, but I might rejigger it to try to get him in there because I think he's cool. Even just like strat reserving and he comes in on round 3 and like runs into your opponent's backline, I think is like fine. We've got double 8-bound for some punchiness, double forge friends, a fleshhound unit for utility, very good because they have the built-in up-down, and then double jackals for additional utility as well. Good stuff, chat. Now here's an interesting question. I actually don't know. I went the wrong way. I actually don't know where the summoned by slaughter targets. You target a bloodletter unit, so you cannot use the Demon Prince to discount your summoned by slaughter. But what I found out with the Demon Prince in this detachment, you're basically like you're using this strat, you're using this strat, and then occasionally you might use this other stuff, right? This one works like if your opponent lets you, essentially. This one works if you can get a character early when it matters. This one is a little tough to, I think, trigger in a way that's effective. And it means that the Demon Prince is actually doesn't have a lot to do in this detachment. He also his ability only works when you target World Eaters units. It doesn't work on Blood Legion stuff. So it's actually basically it's there for the Twin Linked, I think, in this detachment. But to be fair, the Twin Linked is really good on him. His strength is kind of mediocre, but once you add Twin Link to it, he goes kind of insane. And then it helps you in the early game when you're trying to generate Blood Tithe with the World Eater stuff. So like Khorne, we were just talking about, maybe some of your other, like your 8-bound, for example. You can get reroll charges out of them pretty consistently, but I think it's important to note that there's a lot of, he's probably in this detachment out of any of them, he's probably, there's an argument to cut him. I think you do need some CP generation, especially in Daemonkin, because you want to be using Summoned by Slaughter, but I think also that, it's the toughest place to like find a consistent way to spend his CP every turn. I don't know. Oh, Prince cannot reduce? Oh, you're right, chat. It targets Blood Legion, but it affects World Eaters. That's so bad. Do you cut that guy? He actually seems like he doesn't really do that much. So you can use him on Worthy Skull and the regeneration thing. And that's it. And then like CP rerolls essentially. Use him as a beefy loan up. Yeah, I think he's like still good for that. I'm not saying he's bad. But I just wonder if you could be using more beef in the army instead of him. But I guess you could play him more aggressively, right, in this attachment. And just be like, hey, we're going to get some free charges out of him, and he's going to blow something up. Then we're going to call it good. Carry the icon easily. Yeah, I get that. All right. So yeah, that's that's another interesting question is the Icon of War. So the Icon of War will give your Blood Legion units Blessings of Khorne. So they get probably sustained hits every turn, and oftentimes like devastating against infantry or extra consolidation or like lethals. Good for literally any of the Blood Legion units. I find it kind of hard to include, but I do think it's probably pretty good. And he's almost certainly the best place for it because he's gonna stick around for a bit, especially if you're committing him alongside like a bunch of big, scary Khorne demons like Scarbrand and Bloodthirsters. It's difficult to pick him out from like a 2+ save Bloodthirster and a 20 wound Scarbrand. And then he's going to be giving them like insane buffs. So that is probably he's the best caddy for that almost assuredly. I guess it is like the awkward part where trying to find ways to use his CP is a little bit tough. Free heroic or 1 CP interrupt. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the 1 CP interrupt gets people too. I know I've fallen into that occasionally where I'm like, you know, 1 CP, no interrupts, sweet. And they're like, I'll reduce it with Gilliman, and you're like, damn it. I knew they had something in the chamber. Prince does not get loan off from Blood Legion. Yeah, that's correct. But what you can do is like you can run him alongside. So oftentimes early game, he's going to be next to either Jackals. You string Jackals out to him, or he's going to be next to 8-bound. You have 8-bound like in a ruin next to him. He can also gain it from Khorne, and then they shoot Khorne and you just respawn him. So it's like kind of doesn't really matter. So he's not the easiest thing to get it off of because it has to be World Eaters and it has to be infantry. Once you get to like Battle Round 2, Battle Round 3, and he commits, it doesn't matter anymore whether or not he's getting blown up because he's going to be in the middle of things, and you're trying to threat overload your opponent to the point where they can't kill everything with shooting anyway. So you're not that worried about it, and he's just mixing it up with the Blood Legion stuff. But on turn 1, it's important to consider that when you're deploying and when you're moving, but it's not impossible to get it. But that is a good call out too. All right, chat. So those are the. Is there a Winged Demon Prince with different abilities? There is, yeah. The Winged Demon Prince is kind of like mid, I think, in my opinion. I think I skipped him. He doesn't have a picture. He forces battle shock checks when he charges people, or at the start of the fight phase. Just like whatever. Can stop you from interrupting maybe, but you have to make a battle shock check. So like I don't know. And then each time you end a normal or advanced move, you can bomb people you move over, which is also kind of like whatever. So I don't know. I'm not that into the Winged Demon Prince. He's faster. He's 4 move faster, but lower toughness. Their melee attacks are identical. And realistically, like this ability doesn't, unless you're like rapid ingressing him, which is kind of like a low value rapid ingress, especially if you're talking about Daemonkin, which can rapid ingress Bloodthirsters. So like, what are we doing with this guy? It's hard to get the mortal wound ability on people, and it's only an average of 3 mortal wounds anyway. You compare that to like the Emperor's Children Demon Prince, and you're like, why are we even here? So I don't know. This guy's sweet. His built-in devastating wounds when he charges, gains the lone operative, and swings the free CP out. What a guy. What a guy. All right, chats. So only 2 World Eaters lists that got played with the new codex and did well. Not the case for Death Guard. I have like an entire page of Death Guard armies that I want to talk about. Now, I'm going to give you a notice as well. At 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern, so the normal time that this stream goes live, we're a little early today, which is probably why I was all discombobulated this morning. I'm going to be live on Twitch. We're going to be streaming a T5S2 Finals, which is in about an hour, just over an hour. That is going to be Custodes versus Ultramarines. So I will have to jump out for that in 60 minutes. So I think what we should do is there are 3 and maybe 4. We have a mystery detachment where they didn't put their detachment in, but we can suss out what detachment they're using based on their enhancements, but I haven't looked through to see exactly what that is yet. So we have 3 separate detachments that we can choose from. Champions of... What is the name? I didn't write down the name. I guess I can just look up the list. Champions of... Oh, excuse me. I clicked on the wrong one. Champions of Contagion had multiple 3-0s. Virulent Vectorium had multiple 3-0s. Mortarion's Hammer had multiple 3-0s. And then a mystery one, which I guess I can look at real quick. Lord of Change with 3... Oh, Lord of Contagion with 3 Deathshot Terminators. Broken or not. Very, very good, I would say. The jury's out on broken, but I do think it's very good. I would be... I don't know. It does seem like Death Guard... They are more widely played right now, which I think is understandable. But, yeah, maybe not... maybe not... we'll see if they're broken. I don't know. Which is why they're seeing more plays. They're more widely played. So do we have a detachment that we want to start with? So the unnamed one I think was also Champions of Contagion. Now that I'm looking at it. So Champions of Contagion had 3 undefeated. Mortarion's Hammer had 2 that I could find. And Virulent Vectorium had 3 as well. Champions? All right, let's dive in. I'm gonna cough real quick there. Sorry, chat. Yeah. All right. So Champions of Contagion. You can switch up at the start of the battle round which plague you have active. So you choose one at the start of the game, and then you can swap it out start of any subsequent battle round. This is Mike Museni from Art of War running this list at the Rubicon Mayus RTT 3-0 undefeated at a Biologus Putrefier with final ingredient. So after he fights, you can select a plague, and the enemy unit gets afflicted by the plague in addition to any other. Most interesting, I guess you could like reduce OC on people. I guess you have to kill characters though, which is a little bit awkward. But it grants an enemy. It grants the affliction just on top of your other affliction. So if you kill a character, you get a huge bonus, which is nice. So you could potentially be giving like OC debuff and armor debuff, or minus to hit and minus AP, which is insane. If you unlock the little like mini game, I guess. So 2 Biologus Putrefiers, 1 Foul Blightspawn, double Lord of Contagion, a Lord of Virulence, Malignant Plaguecaster with Visions of Virulence. So when he shoots you and slows you down, then you also gain affliction. So he's like another little like Plague Marine sort of outlet, I guess, as well. Plus a Tallyman for CP generation. Oh, my chat window messed up. Using Khorne to draw blood letters. It's only useful if he dies in the opponent's fight phase. Otherwise, they're sitting ducks. So, like the thing to think about with Summon by Slaughter is that like you have control over when it works, right? So, and also you have control over where they get placed. I might do a video on like why this stratagem is so insane, because the area in which they can set up is fucking enormous. It's an 18-inch bubble from where the model died. So like you could lose Khorne. Khorne could like pop in and do a established locus or something, and then your opponent kills him. He flips over and then drops a bloodletter unit behind a ruin next to him. The other thing too is that if they move up a unit to shoot Khorne and you drop bloodletters in front of that unit, the unit's already shot. And if they're not good at fighting, they don't want to engage bloodletters. Or you can just place them like out of an easy charge range or something. So you have like you have information when you decide to place that unit, right? So you can place it in a position where no further units can shoot it, or the units that can see it have already shot or don't have enough attacks to really do anything. And then it's basically like a rapid ingress that you get to do after your opponent's shooting phase, which is like kind of wild, like wildly powerful. So like the level of flexibility that this stratagem has is phenomenal. That's the long and short of it. Talking about going back to Khorne Demons real quick. All right. Talking about this Champions of Contagion, though, we got double Plague Marines. So it is 2 units of. Are these 7? Yeah, I think they are the 7-mans. Interesting. Double Chaos Rhinos. Plus Destro Terminators ×2, so that's for the Lords of Contagion. Chaos Spawn. Triple Fetid Bloat Drone. Double Mephitic Blight Hauler. Double Poxwalkers for utility. Here's the weird thing, chat. There's no Defilers here. We built a datasheet that's like so good that we don't even see play. So the Lord of Virulence is by himself. He's just there to give you hit rerolls. As just like a little one-off. We have potentially 3 instances of ranged affliction generation. And the I believe it all lasts. So the enfeeblement is Pestilent Fallout, which is until the end of your opponent's next turn. So basically for the remainder of the battle round, you can afflict somebody with his ability. And then the Plague Marines, I think, also have the same wording. Until the start of your next turn, same timing, essentially, they can afflict something. So you can afflict 3 things in your shooting phase. Importantly, that also means that currently, and this could change, the Deathshard Terminators, when they set up near an afflicted unit, they can set up 6 inches away rather than 9 inches, which is normal. So you can shoot affliction onto people, and even if they don't come near you, you can then 6-inch rapid ingress next to them, and then charge them. Which is basically it's so difficult to prevent, especially because these guys are getting they're getting the extra sustained hits lance from their charge, so they're probably +1 AP thanks to the Contagion, so they're sustained and lethal with +1 to wound. So they're probably wounding you on 4s or maybe 3s, which is super terrifying. The damage output from this unit is phenomenal. We then have 3 heavy blight launcher drones, Mephitic Blight Haulers, which just got an upgrade because they work advanced monsters now, so they're just better at shooting. And then a bunch of forward operations. They killed Special Deploy Rapid on everything else, but this has not been changed yet, which is why it may change. So I have no idea. But like things like Inceptors and other stuff, they can only use their ability during your movement phase. These guys don't currently have that wording, although it might be the case that changes. So I have no idea. Sick. So we have some solid shooting from the backline, right? Blow drones with blight launchers are pretty scary right now. Oh, they're towards the bottom. Let's look at their weapon profile. The interesting thing too is that in the list that I talked about in my video this morning, now that the blow drones are 2 separate data sheets, you can take up to 6 of them. So if like we're in a situation where blow drones are a good profile, you could just spam them. And given that the fact that they're basically identical profile to blight haulers, you can essentially take like 15, which is pretty insane. Or 12. Yeah, 12 of them. Because you can take 6 blight haulers in units of 2, and then 6 blow drones, 6 individual blow drones, which is like wild. Just so many of these little fuckers. So the blight launcher drones are firing lethal hit, strength 10, AP2, 3 damage, D6 plus 2 shots. So like just and it's probably plus 1 AP from afflictions. So it's probably winning you on 3s or on 4s, like at worst, basically on most vehicles outside of T12, like heavy stuff. And then it's probably shooting you at AP3 with hit rerolls, thanks to the launcher, which would be wild. What would be a sane points cost for the Fetid Blow Drone? So what is this guy currently? I actually don't have his points in front of me right now. I guess on this one it's 90. Is that right? Oh, 100. It's 100 points for this thing. I mean, I think you bump it like 10 or so, maybe. I don't know if this is the most like egregious profile in the army, right? Like you compare this to like a Predator, and a Predator is at like 130. And it has like, it's basically a side grain on its gun, right? The Predator, its gun's essentially the autocannon. It's higher strength, lower, I guess it's higher attack volume and higher AP. All right. So its gun's better than an autocannon. But it loses the last cannons, right? So it's like a side grade on offensive output. It's got an invulnerable save, but it loses a wound. It's in a toughness. So it's like probably a Predator. So I guess like 120 to 130 maybe. It is basically just a Predator. The more I think about it, the more this is just a Predator profile. And it's better in melee. Let's go. It's a flying exocrine. It's lower AP than the exocrine, but I guess like you're shooting afflicted stuff, so it's basically the same. But it doesn't shoot as much as an exocrine. I don't know. And the exocrine's like way harder to kill, so it's definitely a side grade from an exocrine. It should definitely probably be, I think, at least 120 for sure. These guys in Lord of Virulence should be 390 every list. Yeah, that's probably the case. It's I guess it's like unfortunate when you compare them to like the World Eaters Forge Fiends. The World Eaters Forge Fiends are like 450 for the 3 of them. And they shoot like on average slightly more attacks, but their ballistic skill's worse and their weapon profile is like a side grade. And but they have to like jump through a million hoops to get their reroll hits, and they're more expensive. Which is like a little bit awkward. So yeah, probably a little bit pretty good. You can hide 2 to 3 of them behind the same ruin compared to a Predator. Yeah, I would say Games Workshop doesn't. I think it's very rare that they point cost based on the miniature. Usually they just look at the stat lines. That's probably a thing that they should start to consider, because I do think that the in a game with true line of sight, the miniature is pretty important. But I don't know. Yeah, not counting blast, right? This one, if you count blast, averages 6, and the World Eater one averages it's +2 per, so averages 12, but at -1 to hit. Yeah, they both have blast. So it loses a hit, a point of ballistic skill and lethals for more attacks, which is like, I don't know. I think those are comparable. I definitely think that the Forge Fiend like has a higher output, but the Blow Drone is not like totally dissimilar. You know what I mean? What do you do? Forge Fiend actually okay in melee? Oh, it's not that good. I think this thing like might like unironically be better. The Forge Fiend I think is 6 attacks at AP 0, and this one is 3 attacks at AP 1 lethal. Which is I think a little bit exciting. They both have full hit rerolls. In the comparison we were talking about, they both have full hit rerolls. Because this one's going to benefit from the Lord of Virulence. Should we take a peek at another champions list, chat? Let's see if there's one that is very different looking. One of them this list has a Noxious Blightbringer in it. Let's go. So we're rocking. So this one is Nathan Illis from Qualification High Roller FDB 10-man. Or 10th of May. 10 May is should be 10th of May, I assume. Is playing Biologist Future Wire with Final Ingredients, the thing we just talked about. This one has a Demon Prince, so we get the free strats off the Demon Prince. Plus a Lord of Contagion, Malignant Plaguecaster, and a Noxious Blightbringer, and Typhus. Now, I believe that we talked about that both Typhus and the Blightbringer, because the Blightbringer is a Fetid variant, so he can dual attach with another character. So we can dual attach them to Poxwalkers, and we have a 20-man. So we're doing the +1 movement Poxwalker unit that's -1 to be hit, thanks to Typhus. And can regenerate models from Typhus' psychic power. Thanks to Typhus. Thanks, Typhus. You're the best. Now, if we take a peek at our thing, I wonder if we have any particular synergies. We can +2 toughness the Poxwalkers. So that's typically -1 to be wounded, I think, against a lot of profiles. Like T5 or Strength 5, Strength 4 is going to be... Strength 5 actually goes to -2 to wound. And that is, I think, the best profile at knocking down Poxwalkers. So that's actually kind of insane. Because they go from wounding on... The Poxwalkers to go to T6. So Strength 5, which is the profile you're looking for, goes from wounding on 3s to wounding on 5s, which is quite a lot. But it also works pretty well on the Terminator units as well. You can also give them fights first, which is kind of neat too, because they have 2 characters if you also include the Noxious Blightbringer. And then Typhus fighting first, the Poxwalkers are kind of whatever, but Typhus fighting first is legitimately scary for a CP. That's also kind of horrifying. And then, yeah. And also give them rerolls, I guess. Yeah, T6 fight first Poxwalker. Seems good, dude. So we have a big Plague Marine squad, the big 10-man, plus a Chaos Rhino, Predator Destructor, Chaos Spawn, Destro Terminators, double Fetid Blood Drones, double Myphitic Blight Haulers. And then 40 Poxwalkers, 2 units of 10. So 2 utility units. The big 20-man loses Infiltrate, so it has to either Rapid Ingress and or come off the table edge, or it has to just ground pound up the table. And it can be kind of tough to take down, so that does kind of make sense. This just feels much lighter on the ground than the other one, though. It's only one Lord of Contagion brick. I'm actually kind of like curious where all the stuff went. The Biolog is Futurefire and Malignant Plaguecaster, like the match made in heaven, right? Because it's 5-up critical lethal sustain on the Plague Marines. There's no Lord of Virulence, so we don't get hit rerolls. We did pay for a Demon Prince, which is basically the cost of 2 other characters, but we only have 1 Plague Marine squad. Where did these points go? This list feels like minuscule compared to Mikey Zenny's list. Which just felt like it was going forever. I guess it had the 7-man Plague Marines, which was very different. So I guess it's a 6-man Deshret Terminators. That's why. That's where it went. So we have the big Deshret Terminator unit, so we can do scary rapid ingress stuff with them. So that's what is it? 6 times 4, 24. Like AP 3, 2 damage, lethal sustain lance melee attacks. That's mildly horrifying for sure. You love to see it. Now Champions wasn't the only detachment that we saw go undefeated this weekend. We also saw some Vectorium lists, and we saw Mortarion's Hamburglar. Let's pop over to Mortarion's Hammer. This detachment, the Champions of Contagion, I think, feels like maybe the most straightforward out of all of them. It's just like, it just does 1 trillion damage and is hard to kill, right? And so I think it makes sense that this would be the most widely played. It definitely feels, it's a little interesting because it feels like it's maybe like, this might be like the new player detachment, because it's just like, you just play 40k, right? You like set up all your dudes and then you move forward and then you're like, hey, I'm +2 toughness, and then I'll get full rerolls against you and then like blow you up. Boom. I guess the one awkward part is like choosing which contagion you want to apply to people, but I think that's maybe okay. That's flexibility, so you can't make a bad decision in the early game. Their strike profile wounds Deathwing Knights on 3s and brings them to their 4++. Oh, there's 58 attacks, winning on 2s on the charge. Oh, against Marine equivalent bodies. Do they have an AP characteristic on their sweep? They're AP 1, right? So they pushed AP 2? Oh, yeah. Look at that. Yeah, it's only 3s to wound against Terminator bodies, right? But it's 2s into Marine equivalents. It makes sense, I think. That said, so you're doubling your attacks, but you are lowering your weapon skill and doubling the number of conversions you need to kill each individual model. Does that make sense? If you're -1 damage, it makes total sense. If you're swinging a 2 damage weapon into a 2 wound target, I don't know if you would ever not strike. It's the weapon skill difference that like gets it for me, right? Wouldn't have such a problem with the Death Shroud being solid if they weren't the only unit in the game that can 6-inch deep strike. And charge? Lots of units can 6-inch deep strike and charge. Or like, not naturally, I guess, but like plenty of factions have access to that. But more sustained lethal, but it's not disproportionate though. You'll get more sustained in lethals because you're swinging more attacks, but those attacks are more than half as... So, like, it's all proportional, right? Your attacks are half as effective, or are less than half as effective, but you get twice as many of them, which means that if you got... Like each sweep is like 0.4 of a strike, right? So doubling it means that like there is more attacks, but each of those attacks is less than half of one sweep. I don't know. I guess I guess like check the math. Hashtag like go to Adaptroll. Thanks to them for sponsoring Best Armies in 40K. But on logically that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Do you sweep or you strike a Catan? Anything that's half damage, I think it recontextualizes the conversation. I mean, I would do math to determine, right? But I think you would probably sweep, maybe. Because you're getting half as many strike attacks, but they are not twice as effective as sweep attacks, which means that doubling your attacks is probably more valuable. You're just -1 to wound and -1 to hit, but you're doubling your output. So if that trades off, which I think it does, then you're probably fine. Yeah, it's true that it almost doesn't matter. You're probably dead anyway. You're like, if I got hit by 450 points of Deshrat Terminators with a Lord of Contagion, I'm probably gonna explode. Like, you got me, fam. Like, in context too, like, this unit does cost as much as a knight. Having 4 wounds as well is a big deal. It means that they don't get swept by 3 damage shooting quite as easily, which I think is going to be a big deal for sure. I do think that like the universe of triple World Eater stuff and like maybe Death Guard Defilers and things would be unfortunate for these guys if they retained their 3 wounds. But at 4 wounds, taking 2 conversions to kill them, it does make them commensurately valuable or commensurately difficult to kill for their points value. All right. Oop, that's Khorne Daemonkin. Let's talk about Mortarion's Hammer. So David Clark at May 2025 FB&G 40K competitive tournament went undefeated with the Hammer of Mortarion. So this is select a number of enemy units, up to 2 enemy units in a Strike Force game. More than 12 inches away from every model in your army on the battlefield. Until the end of the battle round, those enemy units are afflicted. So you can afflict up to 2 enemy units that are more than 12 inches away from you every single battle round, which is neat. We have a Demon Prince of Nurgle with Hell-Forged weapons. That's just his weapon. That's not a special thing. A Lord of Virulence with Tendrilless Emission, so that's the one that makes him essentially a Warpsmith. So he becomes lone operative. He has a 3-inch lone operative when he's next to vehicles, and he can give reroll 1s to the vehicles when they target enemies visible to him. So he scouts for them. He also can give them rerolls to hit, obviously because he's a Lord of Virulence. That's his thing. So that's an incredible enhancement. And also, may I say, I think that's really cool. I think enhancements that recontextualize how a unit gets played is very, very cool. This basically gives this entire faction a Warpsmith datasheet, but only available for Mortarion's Hammer. And I think I just think it's neat, chat. I don't know. Can confirm killed Magnus with his 2 rerolls and a blank with 10 damage left over. But was it with the sweep profile? That does get through his -1 damage thing. Let's see. We got a Predator Destructor, 1 Fetid Blow Drone, 2 Fetid Blow Drone, 3 Blight Launcher Blow Drones. So we're getting hit rerolls and wound rerolls of 1 from these guys now, targeting whatever the Lord of Virulence guy can see. We've got double Hellbrutes rocking Fist and Hammer, so +2 attacks. The Hammer for Death Guard, and this also might get eroded because this might be a typo. But the hammer on the Death Guard Hellbrute is higher weapon skill than the equivalent Hellbrute hammers on in other factions. So this may be a mistake. The intention might be for this to be weapon skill 4. I think it is, and we did see. I think that there have been some erratas already to this codex. I think that the Predator autocannon strength characteristic is like inexplicably higher than everyone else's, and I think that already got errated on the 40K app, if I remember correctly. So That might be a thing that gets changed as well. But at the very least, it gives you you get +1 to wound basically permanently because it's every time you attack an afflicted unit. It has Contagion as a Nurgle, so you are already going to be afflicting people you're engaging. It just happens. So you're +1 to wound, and you can choose between either 7 attacks at 12-2 for 3 damage, or 6 attacks at 14-3 d6 +1. So he is a hell of an armor cracker as a like a follow-up attack. Yeah, I know that the autocannon got changed. I don't know about that hammer. That might have snuck under the radar. But I wouldn't be too shocked to see, like, once we see the actual documents come out, that does get changed. Because it does feel like an oversight. This is Champions of Contagion. There we go. I don't know if there's any. I guess we can push them through vehicles because they have a move through move them through vehicles. They can move them through train features because they have a move through wall strat. Reroll hit rolls in the shooting phase. Not really gonna affect them. I think that's the only thing that we're really excited about doing with those guys, but it does give you some melee punch in the late game. We have 3 Plague Burst Crawlers as well as 2 units of 10 Poxwalkers. That seems like the norm. Feels like every list is just going to have 2 units of 10 Poxwalkers just to give yourself some screening on turn 1 and then some sort of early game midboard control. They're an interesting infiltrate unit because they're really slow. So like they aren't like a lot of units where they just like, you see like striking scorpions that infiltrate and then just like jump all over the place. These guys infiltrate and then they mostly stay there. But I think it definitely gives them a very unique use case compared to the old cultists. And he's got a cute little flamer. This is a cute little flamer. Look at that little guy. Are crawlers good? Plague Burst crawlers? So the big thing is that they have, I think, the entropy cannons are kind of a nice inclusion, right? Especially with how easily you can afflict stuff. So you can get the +1 AP and the -1 toughness really, really consistently. So that's good. You also get indirect fire, right? And that's just always sweet. Plus, it's like a higher impact blast weapon. I guess not really. It's actually, if you're firing directly, it's not as good as the Defiler battle cannon. But I guess it's like just more consistent access to the anti-tank shooting. Plus you get a 2+ save, which is a big deal. So I don't know. The indirect fire, I think, is the reason that you're taking them, I think, for the most part. The Defiler, I think, is definitely probably more playable right now. Where's the fucking guy? Not to mention the fact that he army supports like incredibly well. I also wonder if it's a case where like Plague Burst Crawlers were basically the number 1 Death Guard vehicle for like 3 editions essentially, like up until basically like mid to late 10th, and even then they were still seeing play. People might just not have Defilers at this point, to be honest. Like they might just be playing what they have. In that case, it's Plague Burst Crawlers. But I do think that in the comparison, I think the Defiler comes out ahead. It's more wounds, higher toughness, better in melee, better at direct fire shooting. It just loses indirects, basically, and is cheaper and supports the army, and is theoretically more maneuverable. I think it's slower, but it moves through walls sometimes. Yeah, it's 2 inches slower, but it goes through walls, so it's like a side grade. Or moves through other vehicles, I guess, importantly. It's hard to hide, I guess, is the scary part. Like, it's really big. But you can kind of assemble them however you want. So you can actually assemble them to be really small. Not a fan of anti-infantry flamers on Plague Burst Crawlers. So I think that the flamers... oftentimes I saw people playing a combination. Some flamers and some entropy cannons. The Plague Spewers on the Plague Burst Crawlers, I think, were better in context of the entropy cannons being short range. because previously it was like the entropy cannon was so short range and it didn't really jive with the Plague Burst Crawler's mode as an artillery piece. So you'd want to keep it in the back to like screen and take up table space, hold objectives, and then constantly be putting damage on your opponent with the mortar shot. But in that case, you didn't really need a 24-inch range like anti-tank gun. So you just took the flamers so that if people came up to the objective, you could overwatch them. And now that the entropy cannon shoots really far, that extra 12 inches is a big deal, and it actually allows the Plague Burst Crawler to like engage with all of its guns on a single target at the same time. So they're going to operate a little bit more like a battle tank, which I think is good. 195 for that profile is like a lot, though. Is that the final points value? That does feel like maybe too much. I don't know. That mortar profile is not that exciting. Especially compared to the big cool gun, the big battle cannon, if you will, on the Defiler. Anything interesting we could do with these guys? Mostly, I guess you could do the reroll hit rolls on them, which is kind of neat. If targeting enemies in there, oh, it's visible. Just kidding. Fuck. I thought about everything. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This detachment feels really weird because it feels like they put so much, like the detachment ability is good, right? Afflict two things that are far away from you is solid because then you shoot them. Gives you more ways to get ranged affliction damage out without having to rely on Plague Marines. But the stratagems are like kind of whatever, right? Move through walls is great, but it kind of feels like, and then advance and shoot is great. But that feels kind of like all that they're doing. -2 to charge vehicles, I guess, is okay. But it's only vehicles, and I guess it stops your opponent from like doing weird deep strike hijinks on you, but I don't know. I don't know, chats. I don't know how to feel about it. So anyway, there's a bunch of Plague Burst Crawlers. Listen, we got more Mortarion's Hammer to talk about. We also saw one at North Coast Games. This list... Ray Gamache is echoing my thoughts on literally every day of my life. I have no idea what I'm doing. Running Demon Prince, Laura Contagion with Shriekworm Familiar. I'm not familiar with that enhancement. Oh, you can fire Overwatch for free. Okay, that's neat. So we can do a spooky rapid ingress and then just like shoot somebody who's charging you or something. It ends up being like a lot of charge phase manipulation because you can also stack that with the -2 to charge if they select a vehicle. So that could be cool. I don't know. I guess that's cool. Plague Spear one just sits in the back point. Yeah, that's usually how it works. Or sometimes you would use in the past, like you would frontline the Plague Spear ones if you were playing an infantry heavy enemy, and then they would just like get stuck in because they're so awkward to kill. The 2+ armor save means they survive a lot of random shit. And then they would just be like, I'll flamer and shoot something at the top, I guess. A friend who plays Death Guard has 3 printed defilers. Oh, well. Enjoy that. Have fun not having cover ever. I'm sure you'll have a great time. Lord of Virulence with Tendril Submissions, we just talked about. Another one has Eye of Affliction. So range weapons equipped by his unit have been cover while targeting an afflicted enemy. Very nice. We have a Tallyman for a CP. Blightlord Terminators, so it's a 5-mana Blightlords to attach the Eye of Affliction guy. So probably good enough shooting because they can get all of their bonuses targeting afflicted stuff. They're probably good at like clipping out light stuff, like killing little infantry units. It's rerolls, right, when you're targeting afflicted enemies. Oh no, excuse me, strength and AP. But it's rerolls hits baked in because of the Lord of Virulence. The reroll ones, I guess. And then +1 strength and AP, so then ignore cover. And then if they're afflicted, they're probably put -1 save. So your combi bolters go to AP1, AP2 ignore cover. And your other stuff goes to AP3 ignore cover. That's spooky. So you're shooting with his list. This unit has a combi, 3 combi bolters, Reaper autocannon, Blight launcher, no spewers. But I guess the Blight launcher gets fully reroll, so that's good. Plus the spewer off of the Lord of Contagion, so that's certainly good enough to kill like 5 duders, right? Just hop in and blow up a unit. A little expensive for it, almost 300 points, but like it's not like you're going to immediately kill them on the crackback if they set up intelligently. And you can always ensure that you afflict stuff, because if they're hiding on an objective, you can just pick them for the battle round affliction. You can also pay the strat to make terrain afflict you as well, so you can like ensure that they're attacking something that's under the Contagion aura. We have Predator Destructor, 2 units of Death Shroud Terminators. That's fascinating. So I guess one of them with the Lord of Contagion. Yeah, I guess just like an extra unit. Just chilling. I guess you could put it with the Lord of Virulence if you wanted to, but there's no reason to, really. So, but I guess the Death Shroud Terminators don't really need character attachments anymore, because they lost their bodyguard like effect where they would get -1 to be wounded if you had an attached character, so now they're just a guy. So we're just playing double Death Shroud Terminators, triple Blight launchers, and I guess as well, it's impossible to screen them because you can always just choose the stuff that's going to screen you to be afflicted, and then just like, I'm there now, and then you check. With that detachment ability. Yeah, all right. The detachment ability is doing a lot of work, I think, in this build. Turns out that's a good detachment ability. Automatically getting 2 things in aura is pretty good. 1 Hellbrute with double fisting. So we get 2 heavy flamers on him, but we lose the option to swing with the hammer. 2 Mephitic Blight Haulers, another individual Mephitic Blight Hauler, and a Poxwalker unit. I guess we're playing double Mephitic Blight Haulers so that we can put them through walls all by themselves. Wound reroll. They get real wounds from being led. Because of the Lord of Virulence's leadership. Yeah. That's what I was missing. You're right. I knew it was coming from somewhere, and I just forgot where. It's been a while since I played against Death Guard, because that's always been his thing, right? He just never had any attachments that were particularly solid. So you just played him by himself. Yeah, reroll wound rolls. So it's reroll once to hit, full rerolls in the Blight launcher, full rerolls to wound, +1 AP, strength AP, ignore cover. It's a little bit weird to me, and somebody can call me out if this is wrong, but it's weird to me that Plague Spewers and Plague Spitters ignore cover, because typically flame weapons, like the way that Games Workshop has characterized flame weapons, which is, usual torrent flamers and stuff, is that they ignore cover, but acid weapons that shoot like caustic materials, which I assume this would be, do not ignore cover. So that's the case of acid sprays. It's the case of liquefiers, all that stuff. So it is weird to me that at a baseline this thing ignores cover, because that doesn't feel like it should. But I don't know. I don't know if that's right or not. But yeah, I think I like that little package. I mean, the Lord of Virulence plus Blight Lord Terminators is like kind of objectively scary. I think we talked about the full wombo combo, if it's able to combo out on you, does like blow up a whole vehicle by itself without any help, assuming it can afflict you with something, which it almost certainly can. And ignore cover definitely helps at that, for sure. Just a Tyranid problem? No, Drukhari have it too. Drukhari have it as well. Full hog on the 10-man. Yeah, it's tough to fit it though. Like, I guess you would have to cut in this list like the second Death Shroud unit and something else, right? Which is a big cut. And I think that you're at a point, and this maybe this is knock against the faction, I don't know, but you're at a point where like, do you really need to like be blowing up tanks in shooting with your Terminators when you could just charge them with your other Terminators that are half as expensive and will do the same job in melee. Like, I don't think you need to, right? We could pay like 400 points for this unit that will drop in and blow you up with your guns, or you could pay 150 points for a unit that will drop in and charge you. So, like, I don't know. And that might just be that they're spoiled for choice. I think I would be happy with a Lord of Virulent squad, I think, in a lot of builds. But you know, I don't know if I would play it if I also had Destro Terminators. Terrain also makes the 10-man unit overkill because you can't get them all in line of sight. Yep. I imagine that this unit is being played in the capacity where it's not killing big stuff, but it can help the armies match up into like MSU, where you have this unit that can just hop in and instantly blow a unit off an objective, you know, from almost anywhere. So it's like it can really reach out and touch you in a way that basically nothing else in this whole faction can, right? It plays like Death Guard play like extremely fair 40k. They just have insane damage output and high resilience. So for the most part, if you just like hide from them, like what are they gonna do? Shoot you with their Plague Burst Crawlers? Oh no. No, please, sir, not the Plague Burst Crawler. You might eventually kill me with 3 of them shooting like multiple times. Whereas this unit is just like, hello, I'm here and I'm gonna shoot you. 10 men in fly below a scout and assault. Yeah, I feel like that is a different thing. I imagine these guys are deep striking. I don't know if you would put this movement 5 unit on the table. They're also like they're not too bad in melee too, right? You get, I guess this one isn't taking it's taking just the bubonic blades, but you get a power fist and Lord of Virulence, and then you get like what is that? 15 sword attacks with lethals. Yeah, 15 sword attacks, AP 3, 2 damage. Fuck me. Okay. Oh, all right. Man, eat your heart out. The Assault Terminator Sergeant. Are you kidding me? That idiot with the power sword, or the Assault Terminator Sergeant gets at least he gets a Thunderhammer. But the regular Terminator Sergeant has a regular fucking power sword, and these guys are like, the basic dudes are like AP 2 damage. Are you kidding me? Space Marine Terminators are so dog shit, dude. Where's that data sheet? I want to look at it. I want to make fun of it. We found it. This fucking guy. 1 damage. He has a 1 damage melee weapon, bro. And he's the unit champion. Oh, boy. So stupid. Can they get fists? This is the old data sheet, obviously. Yeah, not on the original data sheet. I guess let's look up the current one. It still kills me, though. It's like such a bad profile. Survey says... Yeah, okay. The Codex data sheet, he can get a fist. So at least you can replace his terrible 1 damage weapon with an okay 2 damage weapon. All right. You know what? Fair enough, chat. It's just funny that was the requirement for the longest time. I think until the newest Codex, probably, right? Fly Lord Captain in the Unidus 5 is the only model that can take a special weapon. Yeah, because you could do Flail, Blight Launcher, Reaper Autocannon, and Plague Spewer. Yeah, and he can't do anything. He has no options. Oh, he could take a combi weapon if he wanted to. But I don't think he would. If you're doing the Lord of Virulent stuff where you're reeling... Well, maybe. Because he has Devastating in your reroll, but it's Ballistic Skill 4. I don't know. And he shoots less. Yeah. They got Fist in the new multiplayer kit. That's good. That's something at least. Shout out to NC Conroy in the Discord though, who just won a pod with 10 Wolfguard Terminators. And actually made a big Terminator brick do something. I'm so proud of that boy. All right. Last look. Let's take a peek at Virulent Vectorium before I have to hop off. Wow. So this is basically the index detachment. Go over to the Vectorium over here. Virulent Vectorium. So you gain sticky, and your objective markers gain Nurgle's gift. Until you lose control of it. Although they removed the infection mechanic, so it used to be in the index that you would infect the objective and it would remain infected for the rest of the game, and then the infection ability would turn on if you controlled it. But now it's just you. As soon as you lose control of the objective, it just goes away. So the infection doesn't matter. But you will still hold the objective as long as your opponent doesn't take it. We can take Demon Weapons of Nurgle. You get an unmodified Heat Rule of 5 scoring critical hit. Are we taking those? Yeah, we're taking it on a Lord of Contagion. So he gets 5-up lethal sustain when he's attached to a unit. We talked about how that's like basically purpose-built for Lords of Contagion. And honestly, all of these things are like kind of insane Lord of Contagion attachments. Arch Contaminator also gives you rerolls, wound rerolls, which can affect your plague spewers as well as your melee. So you're like Lance lethal sustain wound rerolls. Insanity. Just like a literal infinitude of damage. We have a Demon Prince of Nurgle with Revolting Regeneration, so he gets a 5+ Feel No Pain. He's already tough enough to kill, and then now has a Feel No Pain as well. We have... This list is bringing Mortarion. Hot damn, dude. New Mortarion? Let's fucking go. So we're brought double Plague Marines, double Chaos Rhinos, Dash Rat Terminators to go with that Lord of Contagion, double Blight Launcher Bloat Drones, Poxwalkers, Wardog Carnivore. This is definitely a Plague Company list that we just converted over. And we were like, quick, add a Demon Prince. Like cut some of the Predator Destructors and add a Demon Prince in. So Malignant Plaguecaster, Biologist Putrefire for one of the Plague Marine squads. Yeah, so we're running a big unit, which probably gets all the big damage. And then we have a little unit which we could attach the Blight Spawn to, maybe. I think you want the Plaguecaster and the Putrefire in the 10-man because you get more special weapons to get lethal sustain off of. So I imagine that's where those go. And then you get a Foul Blight Spawn for a little fight first unit as well. And that can combo with Mortarion because you get like reactive moves and stuff as well. So you can jump in and out of the Rhino and things, which is neat. Yeah, and then normal stuff. Guess 2 of the strats work on Mortarion. Yeah, so we can disgustingly resilient Mortarion, which works in any phase now, shooting or fight, which is good. And you can regenerate him. Or Mortal Wound him, excuse me. Mortal Wound from him, I guess, is probably the thing to do. It's not regenerating. You do murders with him. He bleeds on you, and you're like, gross, I don't like this. This is yucky. -1 damage is definitely, I think, the best on him. Plus, you get it for a CP off thanks to the Demon Prince. So that combination is actually probably legitimately difficult to kill. T12, a 2+, 4+, 5+ with -1 damage. That's good. You know what? That's a good defensive profile. Plus, hits like a truck. And also does all this reactive stuff because he's an Eldar model now. We did World Eaters list first, yeah. Do the Morty combo where you reactive move Poxwalkers back if they try to stop the sticky. Oh, sure. I mean, they'll just kill them, right? But I guess, like, I don't know if you have punish. I guess like you try to punish with the Plague Marines, I guess. If they just like move to blow up your Poxwalkers, but I feel like they'll just kill the Poxwalkers. I don't know. I don't know many armies that will fail to kill 10 Poxwalkers if they really need to. Poxwalkers are good, but they're not invincible. I guess like you can. They got rid of all of the -1 to hit stuff, right? So there's no Cloud of Flies anymore. Yeah. No defensive tech whatsoever. Just little guys. I do like it. It is good tech though. Oh, the Leech Bar Eruption does regenerate you. I don't know what I was thinking of. I read it and I was like, it deals mortal wounds. And then forgot to read the second half of the sentence. Reading the card explains the card or something. So yeah, regenerating him is definitely amazing. As long as you have an enemy within 3. Which if they like commit into Mortarion to do a bunch of damage to him, you certainly will roll. And you could roll up to potentially 15 dice, so that's an average of 5 regenerated and 5 mortals. Which, does that get him out of his damage characteristic? 6 wounds remaining. No, he'd have to. If he's on 1, he'd have to max regenerate to get back out of damage. But he can give it it's a good old college try. He definitely could potentially do it. Yeah, this might be the home for Mortarion, I think. I definitely don't dislike it, for sure. It just feels like, it feels like it wants more guns. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily... The War Dog Carnivore might be a... like a concession to the fact that we are... rebuilding off of the index, but it feels like you commit stuff in and then it's like ends up being some Plague Marines and some Destro Terminators and Mortarion, and your opponent's like, okay, I'll kill like 2 of those things. You're like, all right. Whereas you're not like getting a lot of consistent damage, but maybe I'm wrong. Like it feels like go turns are always the best when you can also expose like a big spooky gun line behind your front line to go blow stuff up. We can move over and talk about some other Virulent Vectorium lists. This is the Rogue Trader RTT 6. The Chosen Juan went 3-0 with this list. It's a Demon Prince with the Revolting Resilience. Is that the name of the 5-up fill-up band one? I thought it was Revolting Regeneration. I guess it's a hand-typed list, so you might have just probably just misput it in. That makes sense. A Biologus Putrefier, Arch Contaminator for rerolls. Malignant Plaguecaster, another Biologus Putrefier, another Malignant Plaguecaster. So 2 big Plague Marine bricks. Yeah, it's like maxed out Plague Marine bricks, basically. So 20 Plague Marines. Lord of Contagion with Furnace of Plagues, which is +1 attack, strength attack, and devastating wounds. Well, that's neat. So he's 6 attacks, strength 9, kind of 10-ish because you can reduce people's toughness and devastating on makes the. Oh no, that's the Lord of Contagion. Oh, he's not running Demon Weapon. Interesting. I read that as being on the Lord of Virulence for whatever reason, but it's definitely not the Demon Weapon. It's definitely just on the Contagion guy. Huh. There's a little bit of like anti-synergy, I guess, where you're like sort of hoping for lethals, but the lethals don't devastate. But the sustains do, so I guess it's not that bad. I wonder what the profile, like what the mathematical difference between that and Demon Weapon is. Like +1 attack is like plus. It's essentially +1 attack and devastating. The strength I don't think matters that much. Because he's like winning on 3s or 4s against like basically everything in the game. Or 2s if you're not like a vehicle. And so I wonder if the enhanced lethal sustains is better in that case. But it might also be a points thing. I don't know what the equivalent points values are. Our Death Guard OP, well, they did get like 6 times as many undefeated results this weekend as World Eaters. So I don't know. I'm not sure yet. Well, jury's out. It is early days, and we're looking at RTT results right now, so we'll see. We've got 20 Polishwalkers, 2 units of 10, 2 Rhinos to carry the Plague Marines around, 2 Deshroud Terminators. Could, I guess, just attach the characters if we want to. Or just run the Lord of Virulence solo, like we talked about. Mephitic Blight Hauler, triple bloat drones. This is the list that I expected to see. First of all, still no Defilers, which is blowing my mind. But maybe we'll see them. Well, maybe we'll see them later. I guess the Plague Marines don't necessarily need them because their AP is like 1 trillion already, and they're probably shooting something that's like right next to them. So cover isn't a huge deal. But being able to strip cover from stuff that the bloat drones are about to fire into feels like a huge... it could also be a model thing. But like you cut an enhancement in a Deshroud Terminator unit and you get an entire Defiler, which feels amazing to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But this is definitely what I expected to see from the outset when I saw this codex, because I was like, these Plague Marine combos are insanity. The damage output is just like immense from them. Like 5-up critical lethal sustain, reroll once to hit, full rerolls to wound with no additional support. That's just datasheet abilities, and potentially ignore cover if you add the thing. With -1 toughness, +1 AP, insanity. It's just a crazy, crazy amount. Plus, like, you get a random gun, you can flip into another thing, pass an affliction over, so that the next Plague Marine unit is better. So good. So incredibly good. So this feels like very basic, like baseline, base level Death Guard for sure. This is where I would get started. Watch my video from this morning, Eric. And, I talked about the Poxwalker list. Lord of Contagion only gets his sustain in Landsword leading, so if he comes back from the dead, it might be worth more. Oh, that's a good call out. Yeah, if he gets like killed on the crackback, he could potentially get another round of swinging. Or if you charge him and he survives, because you could like -1 to hit with the plague if you need to or something. As long as you have guns, you literally can't go very wrong with Death Guard. Yeah, it does feel that way a little bit. I don't know. They just kill the universe. God himself would be killed by a Plague Marine unit. Pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff. I'm glad we. I think this is a good list to end on, because this does feel like very, very, very like first order optimal Death Guard. Very similar. You know, dare you bring defensive profiles? I dare you bring models and put them in front of me. All right, chat. Well, it is 2 p.m. I'm gonna need to go prep my Twitch live stream, so I will be doing that momentarily. I hope they haven't pinged me and been like, "Hey, where the fuck are you?" Not yet, it looks like. All right, so let me go make sure that is ready to go. So I'll be live over on Twitch. Let me drop a link to my Twitch in the chats. In about 15 minutes or so. So I'll go see you there, everybody. We're going to watch some cool Custodes play against Emperor's Children. Or, excuse me, Ultramarines. And we watched Emperor's Children yesterday. That was our game yesterday. So I'll see you all over there. Thanks for watching today, everybody. Let me know down in the comments which of these many Death Guard lists is your favorite. and how much you enjoyed me getting the rules for Disciple of Khorne wrong. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you in a little bit. Hey, thanks for the follows over on Twitch, by the way.